Next up, we have Georgia, currently the #1 overall team in college football, undefeated, taking on 4-3 Florida. UJ is a 14-point favorite in this game. It is going to take place on CBS with a 3:30 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. They call this the world's biggest cocktail party, and I still don't really understand why it's called the world's biggest cocktail party. I tried to read some articles about it, but I didn't really get the answer that I was looking for. So if somebody would like to educate me down in the comment section down below why this is considered the world's biggest cocktail party, I would greatly appreciate it. But I've done a lot of videos talking about Georgia. And pretty much, if you've been watching all of my Georgia preview and prediction videos, then you probably already know what I'm about to say. The first question for Florida is going to be, can your offensive line handle the behemoths on the front seven of Georgia? Because you're blocking guys like Jordan Davis. What is he, like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 300 and something pounds? This dude is a freak. Do you see the way this guy moves? It's not natural for a human being that big to be able to move the way that he does. And there were a lot of monsters on this Georgia defense. Now, Florida fans are going to tell you, well, JT, look what we did against Alabama earlier in the season. We basically beat Alabama up front. We out-physicaled Alabama, which is something that you don't really hear people say a lot when it comes to Alabama. You don't really hear a lot of people say, yeah, we were the more physical team than Alabama. You get what I'm saying? And I understand when Florida fans make that argument. At the same time, you can't say that and just ignore what happened over the last couple of weeks. You can't ignore what happened against LSU. LSU at the time was one of the worst rushing football teams in college football. And they absolutely ran the football down your throat. They were a more physical football team than you. And it goes to say, we don't really know what Florida team is going to show up in this game. And it kind of goes to, they say that a team embodies the personality of their coach. And when you look at Dan Mullen sometimes, sometimes he doesn't seem to have his team always prepared. And, there are a lot of Florida fans who are heated with Dan Mullen right now, with the way he's handled this quarterback situation, with how the defense has been playing so far. It's just been a lot of inconsistency. So we don't really know what Florida team we're going to get. Are we going to get the Florida team that had that performance against LSU? Or are we going to get the Florida team that nearly defeated Alabama earlier on in the season? We really don't know. But if Florida is going to have a chance to win this game, it's all going to come down to how this offensive line performs, okay? And you can sell me, well, we did this against Alabama. Georgia's defensive line, their front seven, is not even in the same league as Alabama's. And that may sound crazy to say because Alabama does have some guys on their defensive line in their front seven that are really good. But I'm trying to tell you, Alabama is not messing with these machines or these aliens that Georgia has on their front seven. These guys are different, okay? And a lot of people always tell me, every time I preview one of these Georgia games, they always say, man, JT, we're going to come out, we're going to establish the run game. That's what Kentucky fans told me the last time I talked about Georgia, and Kentucky didn't have a lot of success running the football. Auburn fans said the same thing. They didn't have a lot of success running the football neither, and Arkansas didn't have a lot of success running the football neither. And remind you that these were three teams who have some of the best rushing attacks in all of college football. So when you look at Florida, if you're going to beat Georgia, you're going to have to be able to throw some passes downfield. And I think that a lot of teams, when they go into playing Georgia, their philosophy is, okay, we have to run the football to set up the pass. Well, I kind of feel like if you're going to beat Georgia, you kind of have to have the roles reversed. You have to use the passing game to set up the run game. And you need the passing game to open up early so then you can force Georgia to be like, okay, you know what? Now we got to worry about the pass. And that can lead to, maybe you running some halfback draws, maybe catching Georgia's defense slacking in some situations. But I feel like a lot of teams, when they play Georgia, they feel like they need the run game to open up the passing game. But in all honesty, I feel like it should be the opposite way. Use the passing game, get Georgia's defense, playing both, and then you may be able to have a little bit more success. But that's easier said than done when you have guys like Jordan Davis, who pretty much are playing on the interior of the defensive line, who are fast enough to catch up to you on the edge. And on top of that, if Florida's going to have success in the passing game, both Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones are going to have to contribute to that. Now, we don't really know how the snap count in this game is going to be. Dan Mullen's still playing this 2-quarterback system. There are a lot of people saying that Florida doesn't stand a chance running this 2-quarterback system against Georgia, and I understand that, but I still feel like this 2-quarterback system for Florida can be effective in different aspects, because Dan Mullen is a really good X's and O's coach. He's a really good tactician, because I feel like he's going to be able to come out here and he's going to have a game plan of how he's going to try to attack this Georgia defense. So I'm pretty sure that this offense is going to have some new wrinkles that they're going to have thrown in to try to attack this Georgia defense. And when you look at Anthony Richardson, he's the obviously better passer than Emory Jones. Emory Jones kind of has questionable decision making. Both of these 2 quarterbacks are really good dynamic runners, but if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to get that passing game going, and Anthony Richardson probably would be the guy to do that. But even if you go with Emory Jones, you're going to probably try to want to get the football to your wide receivers off some bubble screens, some short passing plays, maybe some passing plays that don't take all that long to develop. Maybe try to get your wide receivers running some slants, maybe implement some RPOs. And on top of that, okay, Georgia has their own quarterback controversy. We don't really know who's going to be starting in this game. We don't know if it's going to be Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels. Kirby Smart in his presser pretty much said that we're going to see how this week's practice goes. He essentially said, and in my opinion, that we're having a mini mid-season quarterback competition pretty much. If Stetson Bennett outperforms JT Daniels this week in practice, he's going to be the starter. And, reverse, same thing. JT Daniels outperforms Stetson Bennett, he's going to be the starter. But most likely, if everything goes to how we expect it to go, then JT Daniels most likely should be the starter, since we pretty much all believe that JT Daniels is the better quarterback than Stetson Bennett. But that doesn't really matter if Florida doesn't have success stopping the run, because Stetson Bennett hasn't really had to do all that much through the air, because Georgia's just so dominant running the football on you that they don't really require to throw the football all that much. So for Florida, are you going to be able to win up front against Georgia's offensive line? And I think Florida's defensive line is a tad bit underrated. Okay, I do like some of the guys that they do have on that defensive line. It's just a matter of, can Todd Grantham get these guys on defense playing at a really high level and force Georgia into those obvious passing situations. And then you have the argument of Dan Mullen versus Kirby Smart. Okay, now this has been a popular talking point amongst a lot of people. We know that Florida pretty much had their way with Georgia in the last matchup, but you look at what Kirby Smart has done in Georgia, I think he's a better coach than Dan Mullen. Okay, I know Dan Mullen may be the better X's and O's guys. He's one of the best offensive-minded coaches in college football. But at the end of the day, Kirby Smart is more well-rounded than Dan Mullen in our areas. And I think that Kirby Smart is a pretty good defensive-minded coach. He's also a really great recruiter, and it's evident by how far Georgia is in their program state right now, pretty much a national championship contender. And you still have Florida, who, they're like a New Year's Six bowl game contender, but they still haven't even sniffed the amount of success that Georgia has sniffed under Kirby Smart. No pun intended, because, they are the Georgia Bulldogs, and that's what dogs do, they sniff. But anyway, I'm going to take Georgia win this game, and I think they're going to win it well, I'm not going to say they win it pretty handily, because this is a rivalry game, which is what a lot of people have to understand. Not only still a lot of blowouts every single rivalry game, despite the talent gap and things like that. But I do think Georgia will win this game pretty comfortably. I don't think it'll be a cakewalk, anything like that. I do think Florida will pose to be a test for Georgia, but I still think they're going to win this game by at least 10 points or more. So I'll take Georgia to win 34-21 is my final score prediction in this game. I'm taking Georgia. And if Florida scores 21 points, then, that will be an accomplishment in itself, because I don't think that there has been a team so far this year that has scored 20 points on Georgia this year. Let me make sure I'm correct. Yeah, no team this year has scored 20 points on Georgia's defense this year. The most points that Georgia has allowed all year has been 13. That was against South Carolina and Kentucky. So if Florida's offense is able to muster 20 points, that's kind of a moral victory there, but I'm still going to take Georgia to get the victory here, regardless of who's at quarterback. I just really feel like when you look at that front seven of Georgia, it's really different. And I don't really think that Florida's going to be able to have the passing attack that they want with the fact that they're running this 2-quarterback system. And I think Anthony Richardson is the better passer, and he's probably going to be splitting reps with Emory Jones in this game, which is probably going to hurt their chances in that department. And if the run game wasn't going against Kentucky, Arkansas, Auburn, Georgia was able to shut all those 3 teams down, then I think that there's a pretty high chance that they could shut down the rushing attack of Florida. But Dan Mullen is a really savvy offensive-minded coach. Maybe he can find a way to scheme up something to attack this Georgia defense, but I'm still going to take Georgia to get the victory.